I never expected to see my father, Richard Harrison, brought down by anything. As the CEO of Harrison Pharmaceuticals, he had built an empire worth billions, driven by sheer determination and often ruthless tactics. I'm Thomas Harrison, and this is the story of how one woman's kindness changed our family in ways we could never have imagined. The day everything took a turn began like any other. Dad was at the head of the conference table, berating his assistant, Sarah Chin. "These reports are all wrong," he snapped, scattering the papers across the table. "This is why I barely pay you anything. You're nothing more than a servant." Sarah, 55 years old with more than 20 years at the company, calmly collected the papers, maintaining her composure despite the harsh treatment. "I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison," she said quietly. "I'll fix them right away." "Don't bother," Dad dismissed. "Thomas will do it. At least my son isn't completely useless." I felt the heat rise in my face. At 32, as the COO, I was still treated like a disappointment compared to my older brother James, who had passed away 5 years ago. The meeting continued, and Dad pushed forward with his decision to rush our new heart medication to market, despite concerns about safety. "The trials look fine," he declared. "We're not wasting time with more tests." That's when Sarah spoke up. "Mr. Harrison," she said carefully, "additional trials could reveal critical safety information." "Did anyone ask for your opinion, glorified secretary?" Dad's tone was icy. "Your place is to serve coffee, not make decisions," he continued, dismissing her. The others in the room stayed silent, too embarrassed to intervene. After the meeting, I found Sarah in the break room, preparing Dad's espresso as if nothing had happened. "I'm sorry about that," I said. "Dad was especially harsh today." She smiled, but there was something almost knowing about it. "Don't worry, Thomas," she replied. "Everything happens for a reason." Before I could say more, Dad's voice called from his office. Sarah walked away, her posture perfect, leaving me confused by her calm demeanor. That night, around 8:00 p.m., my phone rang. Sarah's name appeared on the screen. "Thomas, you need to come to Mount Sa Hospital. Your father's had a heart attack." I rushed to the ICU and found Dad, frail and vulnerable, in a hospital bed, two things I never thought I'd associate with Richard Harrison. Sarah was already there, coordinating with doctors and handling calls from board members. "Why is she here?" Dad rasped when he saw her. "I don't need my coffee girl playing nurse." "Mr. Harrison," Sarah began, but was interrupted by Dr. Williams, the chief cardiologist. "Dr. Chen," he exclaimed, seeing Sarah. "I didn't realize." Dad's confusion deepened. "Dr. Chen." Sarah straightened, revealing a side of her I'd never seen. "Yes, Richard." Dr. Sarah Chen, former head of cardiology at Johns Hopkins, leading researcher in cardiac medicine, and the primary patent holder of AR-27. I froze. AR-27 was the crucial component of the new heart medication we were rushing to market. "That's impossible," Dad whispered. "Chen Medical Research owns the patent." Sarah's smile returned. "That's right, the same company that licensed AR-27 to Harrison Pharmaceuticals, with very specific conditions regarding testing." Dad's heart monitor beeped faster. "But you're my assistant," he muttered, in disbelief. "Yes, I am," Sarah replied. "But I think it's time we have a real conversation about the future of Harrison Pharmaceuticals." None of us were prepared for what happened next, nor for the truth behind why one of America's top cardiologists had spent 20 years serving coffee to a man who treated her with such disdain. The room fell silent except for the steady beeping of the monitors. Dad's face turned pale. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you?" Sarah settled into a chair, smoothing her skirt. "Do you remember Angela Harrison?" Dad's heart rate spiked. "Angela, my mother? She died when I was 12. Dad stammered, his voice trembling. 20 years ago, Angela came to my office," Sarah continued. "She had a rare heart condition, but she was afraid her husband would react poorly. She didn't trust her doctors, knowing you own half the medical companies in the city." My hands shook. "Mom came to you?" Sarah nodded. "Angela had a condition that could have been treated if caught early. By the time she came to me, it was too late." "No," Dad's voice cracked. "Angela died of a stroke. That's what you were told, Sarah said gently. But the truth was earlier intervention could have saved her. She kept the truth from you, knowing that if you found out, you'd destroy everyone involved, including yourself. Tears began to fall from my eyes. You were Mom's doctor. I was her friend, Sarah corrected. In her final months, she shared everything with me, her fears about you, her hopes for her sons, and her final wish. Dad clutched the hospital sheets. What wish? She made me promise to watch over you, Sarah said softly. She worried that your fear of failure and weakness would destroy you and your sons. So you gave up your career? I asked, incredulous. Became his assistant? Sarah's smile was patient. I didn't give up anything. I continued my research, built my company, developed AR-27. Just quietly, while keeping my promise to Angela. She turned to Dad. Like today, when you tried to rush an untested heart medication to market, the same kind of reckless decision that could have contributed to Angela's death. Get out, Dad screamed, his face drained of color. You had no right to spy on us, to manipulate. At that moment, the door opened and a tall, elegant woman in a white coat entered. Her name tag read, Dr. Helen Wong, Chief of Medicine. Sarah nodded when she was informed that Richard Harrison was in the hospital. It was almost unbelievable. It had been years since we last worked together at Johns Hopkins. Dad's gaze flitted between them as Dr. Wong continued. Mr. Harrison, do you have any idea who has been bringing you coffee for the last 2 decades? Dr. Sarah Chen is a pioneer in cardiology. Her work has saved countless lives. Yet for some reason, she spent the last 20 years protecting you, almost like a silent guardian. Dr. Wong glanced at Dad's medical records. A guardian you desperately needed. This heart attack wasn't your first warning. You've been hiding your symptoms and intimidating doctors into silence, just as Angela did. Sarah's words were soft, history repeating itself. Dad closed his eyes, tears slipping down his face for the first time. I killed her, didn't I? He whispered. My wife died because she was afraid to tell me about her illness. No, Richard, Sarah leaned forward and gently took his hand. Angela didn't die because of you. Sometimes we can't save those we love, no matter how hard we try, but we can honor their memory by saving others. That's why I created AR-27. That's why I stayed, to make sure you didn't make the same mistakes with your sons that caused Angela to remain silent. Just then, a nurse hurried in with new test results for Dad. Dr. Chen, the latest results are in. Sarah examined the documents carefully, her expression serious. Just as I suspected. Richard, you'll need surgery. And not just any surgeon, you need the best. Dad's expression hardened. I'll choose my own doctor. Dr. Wong interjected. Hospital policy is clear. Given your condition, you need a level 1 certified cardiac surgeon. And in this hospital, that's Dr. Chen. The irony was almost palpable. The assistant Dad had belittled for years was now the one who would perform his surgery. But more revelations were on the way, ones that would rock Harrison Pharmaceuticals to its foundation. As I sat in a waiting room, my mind raced with memories. Every time Dad insulted Sarah, she had been saving lives through her research. Every cup of coffee she delivered had come from hands that had conducted groundbreaking surgeries. Her humility was awe-inspiring. Dr. Wong joined me, handing me a coffee. Your father's in good hands. Sarah is the best surgeon I've ever worked with. I don't understand, I said, confused. She's brilliant, wealthy, and powerful in her own right. Why put up with Dad's abuse? Because of you, a familiar voice answered. I turned around to see James, my brother, who I had believed died 5 years ago, alive and standing there. My coffee cup slipped from my hand, crashing to the floor. Hello, little brother, James said gently. We have Sarah to thank for this reunion. The revelation left me speechless. 5 years ago, James hadn't died in a car crash. He had escaped from Dad's pressure to be the perfect heir. Sarah found me, James explained. She saw how Dad's obsession was tearing us apart. She helped me fake my death, got me into rehab, and gave me a chance to start over. Does Dad know? I asked, still processing the news. James smiled wistfully. Sarah thought it was time for all the truths to be revealed. Hours later, Sarah emerged from surgery calm and composed as ever. He's stable, she announced. But the next 24 hours are critical. and not just for his physical recovery. We went to see Dad. He looked fragile against the white sheets. When he saw James, his eyes widened in disbelief. "I must be dreaming," he murmured. "No, Dad." James stepped closer. "I'm really here." Over the next hour, everything came to light. Sarah had kept her promise to Mom, to protect us and to the medical community. She had watched Dad destroy himself and his family with his relentless pursuit of profit, just as Mom had feared. The AR-27 compound, Sarah continued, was developed using Angela's genetic information. She donated tissue samples before her death, hoping it might help others with her condition. That's why I couldn't rush it to market without proper testing. I owed her that much. Dad's face crumpled in regret. "All these years you were safeguarding my wife's legacy while I was ruining it." "Not just her legacy," Sarah corrected. "Her family, your family." She pulled out a folder containing evidence of Harrison Pharmaceuticals' shady practices that could bring the company down if exposed. "Angela asked me to wait until you were ready to hear the truth. Until something forced you to stop and really listen. Like this heart attack." Dad stared at the ceiling, lost in thought for a long time. "Why show me all this now? Why not destroy me after everything I've done to you?" "Because Angela believed there was something in you worth saving," Sarah said softly, "and because your sons deserve a father who values more than just power and profit." The following weeks brought a dramatic shift at Harrison Pharmaceuticals. Dad resigned as CEO, appointing James and me as co-executives, with Sarah leading research and development. Every unethical practice was corrected. The AR-27 trials were extended, revealing vital safety data that improved the drug's effectiveness. Dad's recovery forced him to slow down and reflect. With James back, learning about Mom's full story and understanding Sarah's sacrifices, it shattered something inside him that had been closed since Mom passed. A year later, I stood with Sarah at the dedication of the Angela Harrison Memorial Research Center. Dad, now in a wheelchair, watched proudly as his sons continued Mom's legacy of healing. "I still don't understand," I said to Sarah. "How did you do it? 20 years of serving coffee, enduring abuse, while running your own company and performing surgeries." She smiled softly. "Your mother once told me that true strength isn't about dominating others. It's about having the courage to serve a purpose greater than yourself." Every coffee cup I delivered was a reminder of that promise. Dad called her over, his tone no longer arrogant. "These days," he said, "I see her. The company eager to hear stories about Mom's final months, understanding the woman she was when she wasn't afraid." Yesterday, I found Sarah's old assistant notebook. The last page had a quote from Mom. "Sometimes the greatest power lies not in what we take, but in what we're willing to give up for love." Sarah had given up fame and recognition to keep a promise. James had given up his inheritance to save himself. Dad had given up his pride to reconnect with his sons. And Mom had given everything to protect us all. Now Harrison Pharmaceuticals stands for something new. Every decision is weighed not just for profit, but for its impact on human lives. Sarah still performs surgeries, but now everyone knows her name. Dad continues to recover, strengthened by the opportunity to finally be the father Mom always believed he could be. In the end, we all learned that true power isn't in boardrooms or bank accounts, but in the quiet moments when we choose love over pride, service over dominance, and healing over harm. Sometimes the greatest achievements aren't the ones that make headlines, but the silent sacrifices that change lives, one cup of coffee at a time. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and stay amazed.